Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. President Biden has said that a two-state solution is the only way to resolve the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, but stressed there could be no peace unless Israel's right to exist was recognized. Mr. Biden said Washington would organize international help to rebuild the damage caused by 11 days of Israeli air and artillery strikes on Gaza. Our North America correspondent is David Willis.
More than 72,000 Palestinians are said to have been forced from their homes in Gaza, pockets of which are now just piles of rubble where buildings once stood. It's thought that rebuilding effort could amount to tens of millions of dollars. The challenge is for the US and other countries to do this, to rebuild without playing into the hands of Hamas, using those efforts as a means of putting pressure on Hamas not to resume fighting. And President Biden said today that he believed Palestinians and Israelis deserved equally to live safely and securely.
Nigeria's army chief, General Ibrahim Atahiru, has been killed in a plane crash in the northern Kaduna state. 10 other officers, including the crew, died in the incident, which the military said happened as the plane tried to land in bad weather. General Atahiru was appointed in January in a shake-up intended to enhance the crushing of an Islamist insurgency. Earlier this month, the army dismissed suggestions from some politicians that it should take power. Air India says it's taking preventative measures after the passport and credit card details of 4.5 million customers were compromised in a cyber attack in February. The information was taken from the passenger service system provider Air India shares with partner airlines. It says it hasn't detected any further unauthorized activity. Here's Peter Goffin.
The attack itself targeted a tech company called SITA, which handles the data for about 90% of the world's airlines. SITA announced the data breach within a few days of it happening and warned the customers of several airlines who had been affected. And the reason we're hearing from Air India about this now is because it says it took about 2 months to determine which of its passengers' data was compromised. And their announcement has really helped show just how much information was exposed and the sheer number of passengers affected.
The U.S. Agency for International Development is withdrawing its financial support for El Salvador's police and a public information institute, transferring the money to anti-corruption and human rights organizations. The head of USAID, Samantha Power, said she was concerned about a parliamentary vote earlier this month to remove top judges and the Attorney General. The right-wing President Najib Bukele reacted by criticizing those groups standing to benefit from the money. BBC News. President Biden and his South Korean counterpart, Moon Jae-in, have said they share a goal of a nuclear-free Korean peninsula, but acknowledged it would be difficult to persuade North Korea to give up its weapons. Mr. Biden said he would be prepared to meet Kim Jong-un if he agreed to discuss his nuclear program. Algerian police have detained about 500 demonstrators in the capital Algiers and several other cities and provinces as they blocked the weekly pro-democracy protests. The Hirak demonstrators want sweeping constitutional and political reforms. A heavy police presence in Algiers prevented the march there from going ahead. The President of Nepal, Bidya Devi Bhandari, has dissolved Parliament and called elections for November, a move that's likely to inflame political tensions in the country. A similar move in December was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But with the country fighting an increase in coronavirus infections, doctors have called on politicians to postpone their political calculations and prioritise saving lives. A letter written by Albert Einstein containing his most famous scientific equation, E equals mc squared, has sold at auction in Boston for more than $1.2 million. Here's Terry Egan.
It's probably the most famous equation ever. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. This elegant equation altered forever how we think about time and space, suggesting that time was not an absolute. While this example, one of just 4 known to have been written down in his own hand by Einstein, came in a 1-page letter to the Polish-American physicist Ludwig Silberstein. Silberstein had challenged many of Einstein's theories, not least in a debate, but time proved Einstein right.
BBC News.